In the middle of the vast ocean, as the dawn just broke over the water, fishing boats began a new day of work. The quiet atmosphere of the ocean was quickly broken by the roaring sound of engines, the sound of waves crashing against the sides of the boat, and the sound of nets being lowered into the sea. This was not just a trip out to sea, it was a difficult and challenging journey of life for fishermen, who attached their lives to the vast waves. As the net was lifted from the water, a stunning sight appeared: tons of bright red, fresh fish, struggling in the giant net bag. Every powerful movement of the crew was coordinated like a machine, bringing the heavy catch close to the deck. The sound of fish hitting the ship's walls, the rustling of lines, the shouts of men shouting to each other to work all combined to create the typical symphony of the fishing industry. And then, at the decisive moment, the net was opened. The whole red mass poured down into the hold like a waterfall, closing a spectacular and effective fishing round. When the last nets were hoisted up, the silvery glint of thousands of fish covered the deck. The nets bulged and weighed down like living metal, moving in the harsh midday sun of the open sea. Without a moment's rest, the sailors immediately moved to the fish harvesting stage. Each person took a position, working together to unlock the net, controlling the flow of fish into the suction chute. The machines were operated continuously, bringing the fish down to the cold storage below, preserving them on the spot to maintain their freshness. The nets are gradually being drawn in, each loop of rope pulled together with expert coordination between the seasoned fishermen. Next to them, the last net bag is dumping the remaining fish into the separation system, where each fish is shaken clean, sorted and transferred directly to the cold storage cellar. The entire boat was like a giant machine working smoothly from the crew at the bow to the hydraulic system at the stern. The last fish passed through the mesh, clattering before disappearing into the depths below, completing a successful catch. No complaints, no wasted movements, just persistence, patience, and discipline. Behind every catch are hours of relentless effort to bring an abundant supply of food to the mainland. As the giant purse seine closes in the middle of the ocean, thousands of fish are gathered together in a shimmering silver stream. Industrial nets continuously bring each batch of fish to the deck, where fishermen continue their work of sorting, recording, and preserving. This is the final step in the fishing chain, where each fish is transferred into a refrigerated container, ready to leave the ocean and set out to feed millions of families. Amidst hardship and danger, fishermen still steadfastly cling to the waves. They not only bring fish back to land, they also bring stories of determination, patience, and love for the sea. The sea breeze whistled across the wet deck, the sky was filled with mist, the large reels of nets began to be pulled onto the ship, opening the way for a new round of fishing. The mechanic adjusted the reels, checking each joint, while the sailors got ready to take their positions. Each meter of net is rolled up, carrying with it the hope of a bountiful catch. For them, each time they cast their nets, it is a gamble with nature, but it is also an opportunity, a belief, a rhythm of life that is ingrained in their blood and flesh. Night falls on the sea, not with rest, but with the beginning of a new cycle. The lights from the ships illuminate the water, creating a pale glow in the vast black sea. Schools of fish are attracted by the light, and the fishermen also begin their silent battle. Each net was pulled up in the flickering light, heavy with the fruits of perseverance. On deck, the sailors continued to work tirelessly, day and night. Fish poured from the nets into the troughs, creating a bustling sound that only seafarers understood as the sound of success, of righteous labor. In the dark of night at sea, they were not just working, they were living fully with the sea. The heavy net gradually rose from the water, dragging with it a living treasure from the deep sea. The red shrimps and fish struggled in the tightly packed net bag, proof of an effective catch. On board, the crew quickly got into position. Every move had to be done precisely and quickly to get the entire catch into the hold before the waves turned. In those few minutes, everyone had to operate like a machine, fast, precise, and without error. This was the typical rhythm of life at sea. Every second counted, every catch was the work of a team. When the last fish fell into the hole, the rustling sound seemed to signal the completion of the fishing route. The large nets were removed from the system, spread out on the deck, and then neatly stacked ready for the next journey. Below deck, sailors scrubbed the deck, checking every mesh and chain link. Although the sea was never predictable, they always had to be ready, because opportunities only came to those who were proactive. Every voyage was a challenge, but for the children of the ocean, it was also a source of pride to live and work in the vast ocean and sky. The nets, soaked with seawater, were neatly stacked along the deck, like long lines of sweat. Another catch was finished, neatly placed in the hold, ready for the return journey. On deck, the workers were still carefully checking each mesh, tightening the ropes, and hooking the chains. Even though they had been to sea many times, each net was still like the first time for them, careful, meticulous, because it was the lifeblood of the ocean. And so the fisherman's cycle continues, casting nets, collecting fish, cleaning boats, repairing gear, all in silence. They are not just fishermen, but keepers of the sea teeming with life. On the wet deck, the golden nets were pulled out, stretching out with each step of the seaman. The work did not stop after each catch. It repeated itself, regular and urgent, like the pulse of the ship clinging to the sea. Far away, in the middle of the blue-gray sea, a school of fish was tightly gathered in a seine net. And then, the giant net slowly rose, carrying with it the result of the harmonious coordination between man and machine, between labor and nature. No cheers, no spotlights, just the sound of waves, the rustling of ropes, and the perseverance of people who have chosen to live with the sea. Thank you for following our journey of fishing in the open sea. If you find the video meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to continue accompanying us on upcoming trips. Don't forget to turn on the bell so you don't miss the most authentic moments from the fisherman's life, where storms and faith always go hand in hand.